When Zainab woke that morning and felt the weight pulling at her chest, she thought it was just the heaviness of guilt. But when she looked down and saw her wrapper straining, splitting at the seams, she knew the curse had found her. Her body was changing, growing, and it would not stop. The pain was not in her flesh. The pain was in knowing why. Zainab was born in the small village of Ikoro, where the river bent like a sleeping snake and cassava fields stretched as far as eyes could see. She was the youngest daughter of a palm wine tapper, a man whose hands were always sticky with sap and whose laughter echoed through their compound each evening. Her mother had died bringing her into the world, and perhaps that was the first curse. The curse of being born through another's death. She grew into a woman whose beauty was quiet but undeniable. Her skin was smooth as river stones, dark and rich like fertile soil after rain. Her eyes were deep as wells that never run dry, always watching, always seeing more than others wanted her to see. She was not tall, but she moved with grace, her wrapper swaying like palm fronds in gentle wind. Her voice was soft as morning mist, and when she laughed, it sounded like water dancing over rocks. But Zainab had something else, something the villagers whispered about when she passed. A hunger. Not for food, but for attention, for validation. For the eyes of men to follow her the way they followed other women. The way they never followed her mother, who had been plain and unremarkable. "That girl seeks what she should not seek," the elder women muttered while pounding yam in their mortars. "She wants to be noticed. She wants to be desired. And such wanting always brings trouble." Zainab wore her wrappers tighter than other girls. She tied her head wrap in ways that drew eyes rather than deflected them. She walked through the market with her head high, her waist beads clicking beneath her cloth, her bronze bracelets singing with each movement. "You are too proud," her father warned her one evening as they sat by the fire. "Pride makes enemies of spirits and people alike." But Zainab did not listen. She was 18 harvests old and believed she understood the world better than those who had lived through 70. The trouble began when Adewale came to the village. He was a trader from a distant settlement, a man who brought cloth and beads and cowrie shells from places Zainab had only heard of in stories. He was handsome in the way that made women forget their duties, tall, strong shoulders like a man who carried heavy loads without complaint, skin that gleamed like polished wood, and a smile that promised things he should not promise. Zainab saw him at the market on a day when the sun burned hot and bright. He was standing beside baskets of fabric, his wrapper tied at his waist, his chest bare and carved with the muscles of a working man. When their eyes met, something passed between them, something electric and dangerous. "What is your name?" he asked, his voice deep as thunder rolling across distant hills. "Zainab," she whispered, suddenly shy in a way she had never been before. "Zainab," he repeated, tasting her name like palm wine. "You are the most beautiful woman I have seen in all my travels." Her heart swelled. Finally. Finally someone saw her the way she wanted to be seen. They spoke for hours that day. He told her about rivers she had never crossed and forests she had never entered. He described settlements where women wore wrappers of such fine cloth they seemed to float like clouds. And Zainab drank his words like someone dying of thirst. What she did not know, what the spirits tried to warn her but she would not hear, was that Adewale wore a bronze ring on his left hand, the ring of a married man. The villagers noticed immediately. "Did you see how she looks at the trader?" Women whispered at the river where they washed clothes. "Did you see how her eyes follow him like a starving dog follows meat?" "That trader is married," an elder woman said, slapping wet fabric against the rocks. "His wife lives 3 days' walk from here. She has borne him 2 sons. Someone should tell the girl. Someone should tell her father." But no one did, because in the village of Ikoro, people loved to watch trouble unfold more than they loved to prevent it. For 3 moons, Adewale came to the village, and for 3 moons, Zainab met him in secret, first at the market, then at the edge of the cassava fields. Then, when her hunger grew too strong to resist, in the abandoned hut near the forest where hunters sometimes rested. "I love you," he told her one evening as the sun bled red across the sky. "I have never loved anyone the way I love you." "But you are married," Zainab whispered, finally brave enough to speak the truth she had been avoiding. "She does not understand me," Adewale said, the same lie men have told since the beginning of time. "She is not like you. She does not see me the way you see me." And Zainab, who should have known better, who should have listened to the whispers of the spirits in the wind, believed him. On the night of the full moon, when the village was silent and even the dogs had ceased their barking, Zainab went to the abandoned hut. Adewale was waiting. What happened that night in the darkness changed everything. They lay together as husband and wife, though they were not husband and wife. And in that union, something shifted in the world. Some ancient rule was broken. Some sacred boundary was crossed. When dawn came, Adewale was gone. Not just from the hut, gone from the village. Gone as if he had never existed at all. Zainab walked home in the gray morning light, her wrapper clutched around her, her body aching in ways that had nothing to do with physical pain. She felt different, marked, as if the spirits themselves had seen what she had done and were preparing their judgment. By the time the sun was fully risen, the village knew. Of course they knew. Secrets in small villages are like smoke. They rise and spread, and eventually everyone can smell them. "Did you hear?" Women whispered at the market, their voices sharp with judgment and secret satisfaction. Zainab lay with the married trader. "The married trader," others repeated, shaking their heads. "She destroyed another woman's home." "The spirits will not forgive this," the elders muttered under the great tree where they gathered. "When you break another woman's home, the curse follows, always." Zainab tried to ignore the whispers. She held her head high as she walked through the market, though her hands trembled as she selected yams. She pretended not to hear when children pointed and chanted cruel songs about girls who lay with married men. But 3 days after that night, the curse revealed itself. Zainab woke to find her wrapper tighter than it had been, not around her waist, around her chest. She looked down and gasped. Her breasts had grown, not the natural growth of a woman maturing. This was different, unnatural. They were larger, heavier, pulling at her body in ways that made her back ache. "It is just swelling," she told herself, trying to calm the panic rising in her throat. "It will pass." But it did not pass. The next morning, they were larger still. And the morning after that, each day her body changed. Her breasts grew and grew, stretching her skin, straining against every wrapper she owned. She tried binding them with cloth, but the cloth tore. She tried wearing multiple wrappers, but they split at the seams. Within a week, she could barely walk. The weight pulled her forward, bending her spine, making each step an agony. Her back screamed with pain. Her shoulders ached from carrying what her body was not meant to carry. The villagers watched with a mixture of horror and satisfaction. "The curse has come," they whispered, gathering in groups to stare as she struggled through the market. "The curse for destroying another woman's home." "Look at her," young women said, covering their mouths. "Look at what happens when you lie with a married man." "The spirits are just," the elders proclaimed, nodding with grim satisfaction. "What you do in secret, they reveal in public. What you plant, you will harvest." Zainab's father wept, not from shame, though he felt that too. He wept because his daughter was suffering and he did not know how to help her. "Please," Zainab begged him one evening, tears streaming down her face, "please find someone who can stop this, a healer, a diviner, anyone." Her father tried. He went to every healer in the village. He offered them yams, palm wine, even his precious bronze bracelets. But each one took one look at Zainab and shook their heads. "This is not a curse we can break," they said. This is judgment. The spirits have marked her for what she did. Only the one who cast the curse can remove it. But no one cast a curse, her father protested. Did they not? The oldest healer asked, his eyes milky with age but sharp with knowledge. When a woman's home is broken, her pain becomes power. Her tears become magic. Your daughter lay with another woman's husband. That woman's anguish is what marks your daughter now. 2 moons passed. Zainab could no longer leave her compound. Her body had become a prison. Her breasts grew until they hung to her waist, then past it, dragging on the ground when she tried to walk. The pain was constant, unrelenting. She could not sleep lying down. She could not sit without support. She existed in a state of endless suffering. The villagers stopped coming to stare. Even gossip loses its appeal when faced with such suffering. Mothers used her as a warning to their daughters. "Do you see what happens?" they said, pointing toward Zainab's compound. "Do you see what the spirits do to women who destroy homes? Let that be a lesson." Children sang songs about her, cruel songs that Zainab could hear from her mat where she lay, unable to move, her body a monument to her mistake. Zainab, Zainab, wanted what was not hers. Zainab, Zainab, now she pays the price. Big like mountains, heavy like stones, the curse will follow her to her bones. On the darkest night Zainab had ever known, when she was certain she would die from the weight of her own body, she heard footsteps outside her hut, slow, deliberate, the footsteps of someone who walked with purpose. The door opened, and there, silhouetted against the moonlight, stood a woman. She was not young. Her hair was white as cotton, her face lined with stories of suffering that words could not tell. She wore a wrapper of deep indigo, so dark it seemed woven from night itself. Around her neck hung beads that clicked with each breath. Her eyes, when they caught the lamplight, glowed like embers. "Who are you?" Zainab whispered, her voice hoarse from crying. "I am the one whose home you broke," the woman said, and her voice was not angry. It was tired, infinitely tired. "I am Adewale's wife." Zainab's heart stopped. "Please," she gasped. "Please, I did not know. I did not understand. Please have mercy." The woman walked closer. In the lamplight, Zainab could see the pain etched into every line of her face. This was a woman who had loved and lost, a woman whose husband had betrayed her, a woman whose tears had turned to something darker. "Mercy," the woman repeated, tasting the word. "Did you show mercy to my children when you lay with their father? Did you show mercy to me when you took what was mine?" "I am sorry," Zainab sobbed. "I am so sorry. I was foolish. I was blind. I wanted to be wanted, and I did not think about who I was hurting. Please, please, I am dying." The woman was silent for a long moment. Then she knelt beside Zainab's mat, her ancient knees cracking with the movement. "You want to know why your body grows?" she asked. "Let me tell you. Every tear I cried, your body stored. Every night I lay awake wondering why I was not enough, your flesh remembered. Every moment my children asked where their father was, your burden increased. Your body is not cursed by magic, it is cursed by consequence, by the weight of the pain you caused." "How do I stop it?" Zainab begged. "You cannot stop it," the woman said simply. "But I can. The question is, should I?" She reached into the folds of her wrapper and pulled out a small calabash. Inside was a liquid that glowed faintly in the darkness. "This will remove the curse," she said, "but it comes with a price. If I give you back your body, you must give me something in return." "Anything," Zainab gasped. "Anything at all." "Your beauty," the woman said. "The beauty that made my husband forget his vows. The beauty that made you believe you deserved what was not yours. Drink this, and you will have your body back. But you will never be beautiful again. You will be plain, unremarkable, invisible. Zainab stared at the calabash. All her life, she had wanted to be seen, to be desired, to be beautiful, and now she was being asked to give it all away. But as she lay there, her body crushed under the weight of her own mistakes, she understood something she had never understood before. Beauty had brought her nothing but pain. Beauty had made her hungry for things that were not hers. Beauty had destroyed her. "I will drink it," she whispered. "Take my beauty. Take all of it. Just please, let me live." The woman held the calabash to Zainab's lips. The liquid tasted bitter as regret, sharp as shame. Zainab drank until the calabash was empty. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, Zainab felt it, a tingling that started in her chest and spread through her entire body. The weight began to lift, slowly at first, then faster. Her breasts shrank back to their normal size. The pain in her back eased. The ache in her shoulders faded. She sat up. For the first time in months, she sat up without help. But when she looked at her hands in the lamplight, she saw that her skin had changed. It was no longer smooth as river stones. It was rough, scarred. And when she caught her reflection in the water basin, she saw a face that was no longer beautiful. Plain features, unremarkable, forgettable. The woman stood, her work complete. "Remember this," she said, her voice echoing as if coming from deep within the earth. "Beauty is not a gift, it is a responsibility. And when you use it to take what is not yours, it becomes a weapon that will always turn back on you." Then she was gone, dissolving into the shadows as if she had never been there at all. Zainab emerged from her hut the next morning, her body her own again. The villagers gathered, expecting to see the same suffering they had witnessed for months. Instead, they saw a woman walking upright, strong, but forever changed. "The curse is broken," they whispered. "But look at her face. Look at what she has become." Zainab heard them, but for the first time in her life, she did not care. She did not care about being seen. She did not care about being desired. She cared only about being free. She went to the river and washed herself clean. She put on a simple wrapper of plain cloth. She tied her head wrap without decoration. And she began to live a different kind of life. She became a weaver, her hands creating beautiful things, even though she herself was no longer beautiful. She taught young girls in the village, warning them about the dangers of wanting what was not theirs. "Beauty fades," she told them, her voice gentle but firm. "But the pain you cause others lasts forever. The spirits do not punish us because they are cruel. They punish us so we will learn, so we will remember, so we will never make the same mistake again." The villagers came to respect her in a way they never had before. Not for her appearance, but for her wisdom. Not for her beauty, but for her truth. Years passed. Zainab never married. She did not seek it. She did not need it. She found peace in her simple life, in her weaving, in her teaching. And though she was plain and unremarkable, she was happy in a way she had never been when she was beautiful. One evening, as she sat by her loom watching the sun set over the cassava fields, an old woman approached her. It was the same woman who had come to her in her darkest hour, Adewal's wife. "You have learned," the old woman said, sitting beside her. "I have," Zainab replied. "But I paid a terrible price for the lesson." "All lessons worth learning cost something," the woman said. "You destroyed my home, but in doing so, you destroyed your own, and in rebuilding yourself, you became something better than you were." "Do you forgive me?" Zainab asked, her voice small. The old woman was quiet for a long moment. "Forgiveness is not about forgetting," she finally said. "It is about releasing the weight so we can both move forward. Yes, child, I forgive you." And in that moment, something shifted. The last piece of the curse lifted, not from Zainab's body, but from her soul. The villagers still told her story. They told it to young women who wore their wrappers too tight. They told it to girls who sought the attention of married men. They told it by the fire at night, their voices low and serious. "Remember Zainab," they would say. "Remember what happens when you break another woman's home. Remember that beauty is not power. Remember that what you take will be taken from you tenfold." And so the lesson spread, carried on the wind like seeds that would grow into wisdom. When you destroy another's happiness, the spirits remember. When you take what is not yours, you pay not just with what you took, but with what you are. Beauty can be a blessing or a curse. It all depends on how you use it. And the hearts you break on your way up will be waiting for you on your way down. And they lived with this truth echoing through the generations. The end.